What's up? My name's Glueboy, welcome back to the channel, and I gotta be fair. I talked about Sevatar recently, so might as well talk about the guy that lost said duel to Sevatar. That's gonna be Sigismund, a man who has many accomplishments throughout the Horus Heresy, being all around a badass, the first Emperor's champion, the first leader of the Black Templars, the guy who coined the phrase in universe, in the far future, there's only war. And he even is one of the few Space Marines who actually got disowned by his father. So that's something. So let's just get into his history. So Sigismund has the exact same career path as like every other main Space Marine character. Joined the ranks, he joined the Imperial Fists, and immediately shot up the ranks. He went far-flung, real fast, dude's just all around great. And soon he actually was given the chance to join something called the Templar Brethren. Inside of the Imperial Fists, their honor guard to the Primarch, Rogaldorn's like bodyguards, were the Templars. So he got the chance to join. And reasons for both how much of a fucking badass he is, because damn, this guy could wield a power blade, and because of strength of character. That's something I noticed reading through his stuff. Sigismund is actually a really cool guy. Like a genuinely nice guy. He has a lot of like moral backbone, since one of the things you have to do to get involved with the Templar Brethren is you're given the question, why do you fight? His answer, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. A very noble goal. And then would prove himself in the Templar Brethren. So good in fact, he soon got his chance at a shot to become first captain. Now, when you're a Templar, this is a ritualistic process. One of the main things you have to do to prove that you can be that first captain is by fighting 200 Templars in a row 1v1. No rests, no breaks. It is a full gauntlet, which Sigismund took on, and then he did pretty fucking well until he got to the 200th member, which was actually his mentor. The guy who taught him how to be as cool as he was, now interred in a dreadnought suit. So now you're Sigismund, fighting 199 guys, and then they send you a mech? Just an actual mech suit, and you're like, all right, fucking, okay. He got comboed, beat down, he's like, I'm done, okay. I'm just gonna give up. I took my shot. I accept my failure. This isn't an honorable thing I did. This isn't for any glory. I did this because I thought I'd be good for it. To where he heard a voice in his head tell him, if not you who will fight, who will? To where he stood up and actually got the fight done and kicked some ass. To where he would then do a ritual that he picked up really early on, something to help center himself. This ritual is him kneeling down, closing his eyes, and resting the flat of his blade against his forehead. This is a ritual he learned pretty early on, which, speaking of early on, that voice he heard in his head, we don't actually know who that is. He doesn't even either. Was it himself, his mentor, or an old friend? An old friend he met on Terra, because he was around during the Unification Wars, to which he was roaming around with this gang of orphans that were attacked by a shittier gang called the Corpse Kings, who were trying to kill all these orphans, to where his friend, she would pick up the defense. She was the one who would stand up and do something. That was her thing. She had a metal bat, she would rest it on her forehead to like calm herself and stop shaking and stop being scared. Something he would later do after she definitely died and the Corpse King came to go kill the rest of the orphans. To where he would do the exact same ritual with her bat and save the day. And that's the thing about Sigismund that I actually really fucking appreciate. He's the most human of the first captain characters, because a large through line of his like character is that he's scared. Things scare him, which I think is more admirable than characters that are just have no fear. Because while it is pretty cool for your space warriors to feel no fear, I don't know, I think it's more admirable and brave when you have a character who is fucking terrified but gets over it because it needs to be done, rather than the absence of fear in general. And this aspect of Sigismund's character would bite him in the ass later, because he was with his Primarch when Nathaniel Garrow told him Horus went traitor. And someone in the retinue of Nathaniel Garrow was a woman by the name of Euphrates Kila, a character who was the first living saint the first, like, prophet of the emperor, the religion of the emperor. A pretty big deal since, you know, that was a big no-no. Her existence is a crime, essentially. She's preaching the word of the emperor, but she's doing legit miracles to where he would talk to her in dealing with her presence on board their ship, to where she gave him a prophecy. A prophecy saying he would get an assignment, and if he took said assignment, he would go out to space, die nameless, forgotten to the universe, but the fighting would stop. Or he could stay, not go out and fight. His name would live on, but the galaxy will forever be at war. He took the latter because he was scared. He believed his Primarch needed him. He did not want to die. So he asked Rogal Dorn, can I be stationed in the solar system? Just let me stay in our system, defend the home front. I want to lead here. To where Rogal Dorn, trusting his first captain, his literal right-hand man, said, yeah, man, I trust you. This wouldn't last long, because Rogal Dorn discovered the reason soon, and he was fucking pissed because his son, his most beloved son, trusted the words of a witch, and even worse, took an option that is inherently selfish and weak. The Imperial Fists are all about inner strength, fortitude, willpower, all of that. So a person doing a cowardly act is the worst shit ever. And Rogal Dorn blew up on him. And this was a sad fucking scene. Go read The Crimson Fist or go listen to a really fucking cool dubbing of this on Twitter. I linked in the description. This is really well done. But essentially the conversation went as Sigismund would apologize to his father. Rogal Dorn would say, you are no son of mine. Sigismund would actually offer up his own life in response. Take my blade, kill me, I don't deserve to live. To where Rogal Dorn told him, no, I'm not giving you that. That's another coward's way out. Your punishment will be to suffer in silence. You will keep your rank and your position, but you will sit there silent in your shame, not letting anybody know this because I don't want your weakness infecting the rest of my men. But props to Sigismund, he took this penance and fought his fucking ass off. One of his big goals was to get back in Rogal Dorn's good graces to make sure it didn't happen again. Sigismund would soon prove himself during the Siege of Terra. He did a lot of other stuff during the heresy. He went around, you know, doing stuff in the Sol system. He also really fucked up the Alpha Legion on Pluto, and they were trying to really get up to some bullshit. But at the Siege, he was a pretty key commander, and spent pretty early on in his time in the Siege fighting somebody, and then getting Deus Ex Rogal Dorned, to where Rogal Dorn would be like, I don't actually care about you, I don't like you, I don't want you safe, bye, and then would later do it again. This happened multiple times. He got his ass saved from his fight with Abaddon, and one with Demon Primarch Fulgrim. The latter is a bit worse, I understand the saving there, but he would still do some pretty fucking cool things during the siege, to the point where he was actually appointed the Emperor's Champion. This is just a title that Rogal Dorn made up on the spot, I'll be honest, but he would give a weapon on the Emperor's orders, something called the Black Blade, which is an absolute master-crafted power sword. It is super cool. It is a still like relic that is handed down in the Black Templar like Legion. It is also here that Rogal Dorn gave the closest amount of forgiveness that a man like Rogal Dorn could muster. He is not the guy to say, sorry, pal. He is not that guy. He got close, though. Sigismund just stared back at him, the steel-trapped gaze, the same mask he wore when he dueled. So the discipline is ended, the leash is off, Dorn told him. March out, take the wall defenses, take the reserves, and rally them. They will be blind and deaf out there soon, and so will need a leader. Sigismund nodded again. No other soul would have noticed it, but there was something other than the usual dutifulness in his eyes just then, something like hunger. Any specific objectives, Lord? He asked. At that, Dorn almost laughed. Not from humor, just from emptiness, the caustic recognition of what would come next. He had given everything. He was already empty, drained to a husk, and the hardest test still lay ahead. The line had not come, Gilman and Russ had not come, they were out of time, out of luck. And what remained now was only defiance, only bloody-minded, bloody-handed defiance. No, I set you free, my beloved, my best son, said Rogal Dorn, never taking his eyes off of his first captain. Do what you were made to do. He smiled a second time, the expression as icy as the despair that gripped his hearts. hurt them. And of course, the Siege of Terra would eventually end, and Sigismund was right on the front lines for the Great Scouring. He was really pissed he missed Abaddon. That is the one key through line throughout the entire siege, is this man wanted so badly to kill Abaddon. It's all he wanted. But after, you know, that whole siege, the second founding happened, where Gilman created the Codex Astartes and split all of the Space Marine legions into chapters so the Horus Heresy would never happen again. With some convincing I won't get into as an Imperial Fist fan. I don't want any Iron Warrior fans in my comment, understand? Don't remind me. I don't need more reminding. All the legions were split into chapters, and Sigismund took some of the more zealotous, unhinged, batshit insane members of the Imperial Fist Legion and created the Black Templars. A decision I'm sure the other Imperial Fist captains were kind of happy to not have to deal with anymore. And with his new position, he became the High Marshal of the Black Templars, and he declared an eternal crusade on those Chaos forces, especially Abaddon. He was going to go kill Abaddon, swear to God, which he would soon get his chance, because Abaddon would come kicking out the Eye of Terror with his new Black Legion in the first Battle of Acadia, which is also the first Black Crusade. They would duel. They went to fight each other, and in this situation, Abaddon actually was treating Sigismund with a lot of respect. Despite their differences, despite the two sides that they're on, Abaddon still has an immense amount of respect for Sigismund's martial prowess, his character, going so far as to like trying to convince him to join Chaos because he just straight up didn't want to kill him. To where Sigismund was like, no, I'm gonna kick your ass. And they fought. They're actually on pretty fucking even footing with one small issue. Abaddon has been hanging out for these last like 1,000 years or so in the Eye of Terror, in the Warp, a place where time is meaningless. Sigismund has been doing this nasty old thing called aging. Definitely at some point during this fight, Abaddon was just outpacing Sigismund because he was just tiring out, eventually getting to one key blow where Sigismund impaled Abaddon with the Black Blade, and Abaddon cleaved him in half with his talons. So now, in half on the floor, Sigismund's like clinging on to life, because of course he is. Abaddon like actually kneels down and says, I didn't want to have to do this. I don't like that I've killed you here, but I'm happy that you have rest. I respect your ability. To where Sigismund delivered one of the coolest lines ever, where he looks up as he's bleeding out. Instead of whispering his Black Templar Imperial Fist oath as his dying words, he looks right in his eyes and says, you will die as your weakling father did, soulless, honorless, weeping, ashamed. And then he died. What a fucking sentence to end on. Good lord, man. To where then Abaddon, despite getting fucking ruined, a line so hard he lost that Black Crusade, he would actually send Sigismund's remains back to the Imperial forces, telling his men, do not desecrate this. This man does not deserve this. But they did do one little funny prank, because his body was also meant as a message, where he got one of his buddies to inscribe the words, we are returned, on the Black Blade, to send back to the Imperium to let them know, Black Crusades are starting up, bud. Abaddon's here to stay. And then we have just Sigismund's legacy. His being reverberates throughout the Black Templars. He is the Emperor's champion, the High Marshal, that everyone lives to just come close to the absolute badassery. But yeah, that's about it. There's not a lot to Sigismund's story, to be honest. It's just a lot of very cool lines and a very depressing father-son relationship. But that's gonna wrap this up. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff. Join my membership, and see you.